Just yesterday, a research report came out saying Trump's tariffs are set to hurt the U.S. more than India. In this discussion, I'll explain in detail how these tariffs will impact the American economy, what kind of impact they'll have on India, and most importantly, why the U.S. is likely to suffer more. Before we dive in, a quick note for those of you preparing for UPSC exams. Whether for 2026 or 2027, we have complete batches available. They cover prelims, mains, and interviews with 18 physical books delivered to your home, plus personal mentors to guide you through your journey. If you have doubts, there's a helpline number where my personal team will guide you. And don't forget to use the code ANKITLIVE to get the maximum discount. Now let's begin. First of all, what exactly is a tariff? In simple terms, a tariff is a tax that governments impose on imported goods and services. So if goods are coming from India into the U.S., Trump wants to impose tariffs on them. His idea is to protect American domestic industries by reducing dependence on foreign goods. It's similar to India's push for Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant India. Tariffs would also generate revenue for the U.S. government. This isn't new for Trump. In his first term, 2017-2020, he imposed tariffs of 25% on steel and 10% on aluminum, and launched a trade war with China, slapping tariffs on $360 billion worth of Chinese goods. Now he started again. But this time it's much more dangerous because it's a blanket tariff on almost every country. For example, Pakistan faces a 19% tariff, Israel 15%, Canada increased from 25% to 35%, and India currently faces 25%. His stated logic is to punish countries with large trade surpluses with the U.S. But here's the problem. Trade balances are not one-directional. India may have a surplus with the U.S., but it runs a deficit with China. That's how global trade works. The U.S., being advanced in research and technology, should focus there instead of trying to force every single product, from iPhones to soap, to be made inside America. Without cheap labor, how is that possible? Direct harms to the U.S. from tariffs push inflation. Imported goods become expensive. For example, if an Indian product costs $1,000, a 25% tariff raises it to $1,250, and if penalties are added, say, for buying Russian oil, the final cost could be $1,500. Consumers pay more. Companies pass costs on, and inflation rises. In 2018, washing machine prices rose 20% due to steel and aluminum tariffs, reducing disposable income and forcing interest rate hikes to control inflation. Harm to U.S. manufacturers. Many American industries depend on foreign inputs like semiconductors, auto parts, and raw materials. Companies like Ford, GM, and Tesla import heavily from Mexico, China, and Europe. Tariffs raise their costs, making cars more expensive and cutting sales. This means layoffs and factory slowdowns. A real example, in 2018, tariffs saved some steel jobs, but industries that used steel lost 5 million jobs. Net loss was massive. Retaliation. Other countries won't sit quietly. If the U.S. imposes tariffs, India and others will retaliate. In 2018-19, China retaliated, cutting U.S. soybean exports by 50%. Farmers had to be bailed out with subsidies. In 2025, similar retaliation could hit U.S. exports in aircraft technology and food. Global supply chain disruption. Modern production is global. A single car has parts from multiple countries. Tariffs don't make production reshore to the U.S. Instead, costs rise and firms delay investment. Harley-Davidson already shifted production overseas. Long-term, America becomes less attractive for manufacturing, leading to less foreign investment. Stock market volatility. Investors dislike uncertainty. Tariffs create risk, hurting corporate profits and business confidence. Companies cut capital spending and hiring, slowing growth. Global isolation. The America First approach undermines multilateral trade deals. Other countries may form blocs excluding the U.S., reducing its global influence. Even global institutions like the IMF and World Bank warn that long-lasting tariffs could cut global GDP by 1-2%, with the U.S. suffering the most. The combination of inflation, lower exports, job losses, and weaker investment could even trigger a full-blown recession in the U.S. Impact on India. Yes, India will also be affected, but relatively less than the U.S. Exports could fall by about 3-5% $10 billion or 83,000 crore loss. GDP growth might drop 3-5%, but India is already working on diversification, redirecting exports to the Middle East, Europe, ASEAN, and Africa. Pharma, auto parts, textiles, and IT may face short-term hits, but India can find alternate buyers. For example, pharma, U.S. generic drug prices will rise, hurting Americans, while India finds new export markets. Autos, Indian parts exports to the U.S. may drop 3-4%, but will be redirected elsewhere. Textiles, U.S. apparel brands will face higher prices, but India diversifies. Steel and aluminum, India is already under tariffs, so marginal new impact is limited. Overall, the U.S. loses more because it's a consumption-heavy economy, heavily reliant on imports to maintain its standard of living. India, being a low-cost producer with resilient export systems, has alternative